All right, we're going to get started here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the weekly game plan. We've got NVIDIA earnings. We got the question, is the market in an AI bubble? So I'm going to be breaking down the overall markets. I'm going to give you guys some long setups, some short setups, some of my positions. We're going to break down your guys' stocks, and then we'll get on out of here, okay? So first of all, let's break down the S&P 500. So most stocks are going to be following the broad market, and lately, the weekly expected move has been very accurate. For the past few weeks, we've been closing within the weekly expected move. And if you guys remember last week, I was saying, hey, if we get up to this upper edge of the weekly expected move, call it like SPY 683 to 685, you can take short positions and see if it can profit on a drop. Now, the market reversed sharply from that level. They just decided to blow through all those support levels. It would have been interesting to see if SPY would have held, the gap up from Monday. But basically, 2 weeks ago, Friday, big reversal. Monday, gap up, strong close. Tuesday, gap down, strong close up. Wednesday, gap and crap, kind of close neutral. Thursday, gap down, sell off. So Thursday was the big gap and go breakaway candle to the downside. Friday, a big gap down, and that gap down was short-lived. I was saying, this is a good time to take a lot of profits on short positions. Then 0-day call options paid, iron condors paid, so that's pretty cool. This week, the expected move is plus or minus $14.50. So that's represented by the purple lines. So that means 2/3 of the time, the market is going to be contained within these purple lines. And I think that this week's expected move is decently wide. It's pricing in to the upside or to the downside, a 2% move. And I think that that's fairly priced, maybe even overpriced. So I like short positions if we basically revisit last week's highs. I would like short-term dip trades if we get down to SPY 658, okay, 658, 657. But the market can get cooked. If it takes out Friday's low, that could lead to the trapdoor to the downside. So Friday's low, last Friday's low, and then this breakdown candle from the Trump tariff news, that's going to be a big tell. If we crack underneath that, we could see an even bigger sell-off. So right now, I'm really just actually neutral the market. I wouldn't be surprised if it broke down. I wouldn't be surprised if it just grinded higher. It's got to be an if this, then that type of analysis. Okay, so if support breaks and turns into resistance, then I'm bearish. If resistance breaks, I'm really not going to get super bullish SPY unless we break above and hold above these highs up here at 685, which I know that there's a lot of opportunity cost if I don't take long positions now up until that point. But right now we're just kind of trapped in this volatility vortex. We've got higher lows, we've got lower highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we even tightened up for a few weeks, and then we could break bull or break bear. Okay, we'll revisit the S&P 500. So next up is IWM, small caps. I've been saying that I'm short IWM. I'm short the RUT index up here at this like 245 level. Finally, those short positions paid. We were able to take some good profits on Friday morning. 2 minutes after the open, I said, taking profits on RUT. This is the exit. And I'm glad that I did. We'll see if I get back in those, though, if we start to bounce. But small caps and growth, relatively weak right now. In terms of the futures markets, they're basically flat. They're up 0.06%, which is basically just flat. So monitor the futures if you want to overdo it on watching the charts. But for now, we'll see how the market opens next week. Okay? Fear and greed, the VIX, the volatility and fear index, getting a little bit of momentum up here, a bit of a reversal on Friday. We'll see if that continues or pushes higher. What is really interesting right now is that fear and greed is at extreme fear, and the market has like barely sold off. Like, this is nothing. The market's down 2.5% from the all-time highs. From the tariff lows, the market is up 40%, and fear and greed is this high. That is strange. This is a divergence. Either this is signaling a bottom, and then this is going to go from extreme fear and move up to extreme greed, or the fear and greed index is being a leading indicator and that there's reason to be fearful and the market's going to sell off. Okay, so there's a divergence between sentiment in the market and the actual chart prices. Okay. Also, before we get too far into it, if you're not in victory trades, come check it out. We're running a masterclass on Wednesday. We're mostly going to be talking about futures. We will give you an opportunity to join victory trades if you wish. We're also going to be giving out free Apex accounts, which is pretty cool. And then there's also going to be a Q&A at the end. So click that link in the description, hit register, come join us. Okay? So markets, I can see it going either way. So that's why I'm going to focus on relative strength and relative weakness. Okay? NASDAQ, QQQ, flat day on Friday, a little bit weaker as of recent. That's okay though. It's been really, really strong. The NASDAQ from the lows is up 51%. Okay? And so Fibonacci retracements, they're not the best. They're just like something to visualize, but measure from low to high. A healthy golden retracement dip buy pullback is the golden fib. And that's down at QQQ 546.81. So that means if the market were to drop the QQQ 10% from here, I think it's a golden dip buy. Okay. And that's still maintaining the overall structure of this uptrend. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing on the QQQ, breaking down some individual stocks, AAPL, Apple, chopping near the highs, decently strong Apple. I don't have an opinion either way, bull or bear on that, but just use it as an indicator to find where the market may go. We got NVIDIA earnings this upcoming week. How many chips are they selling? That's going to be telling us whether we're in an AI bubble or it's just at least going to give us more clues to the puzzle pieces, more clues to the puzzle. And NVIDIA earnings are on November 19th after market hours. Okay. And so that's going to be a big up move, big down move. All right. Google is my largest long-term investment. I've been talking about that for a while. It's actually gapping up massively after hours because Warren Buffett is taking a position in this. So Warren Buffett bought Google. I like Google. Dip buys on Google are 256. I don't think I'll ever short Google, even if it has the best bear setup. I'll just watch it. I'll watch it drop if it has the best bear setup, but I'm not going to short it. I'm only going to be buying it. All right. Netflix is doing a stock split, you guys. This is exciting. 10-to-1 stock split. So Netflix, closed. I don't even know exactly what it closed at, but Netflix is going to be about $111 on Monday. And that's really cool because the option chain is then going to have a lot more liquidity moving into next week. You can see we got 50-cent wide strikes, $2 wide strikes, quarter wide strikes. That's wild. So Netflix going to be much better for trading options moving forward. So that's exciting. If we take a look at gold and silver, my thesis on gold and silver is I'm bullish into 2027 and 2028. We've had a good run up. Now we might be going through a consolidation period where we might have just like this wide range. So gold, bullish long-term, just keep an eye on it. You can always look at the dollar DXY. And if the dollar weakens, that'll strengthen up gold. If the dollar starts to pump and go up, gold is likely going to go down a little bit. The correlation coefficient between gold and dollar is minus 0.3 to minus 0.6. That means they're generally inversely correlated. It's not perfect, but they're generally inversely correlated. The relationship between gold and S&P 500 is about 0.3 to 0. So gold is generally unrelated to the market. So that's why it's nice to have some gold trades cooking. And then that way you don't always have to predict the S&P 500 direction. You have an uncorrelated market to trade. So you can win or lose on gold and you can win or lose on S&P. Versus when you're trading correlated markets, you're going to get paid really, really well when you're right. And really, really, you're going to get clapped when you're really, really wrong. Okay, so if you got some long exposure on big cap tech stocks and you're long on S&P, you're going to do really well when it goes up, but you're going to get crushed when it goes down. Diversifying your trades and diversifying your portfolio really smooths out the volatility. Okay, silver. I like SLV for the wheel. I'm still wheeling AG. So I like the stock for the wheel. Not too much there. Last week I mentioned EOSE like a breakout buy over 19. Got as high as 1986 and now having a sharp reversal. EOSE looks like it might come down and test this like 1150 level. If it did, I think that that's a dip buy. Okay. Relating to energy as well, TE. I am still wheeling TE. Okay. The option premiums are nice and high. I like that one. I think that this stock can get to 6, 7, or 8 in the next few years. And I'm just going to collect premium while I wait for that. And I'm willing to ride my shares to 0 if TE goes to 0. Okay. But until then, I'm going to collect a nice good 10 to 20% a month in option premiums. So really good risk adjusted trade by wheeling TE. Conversely, though, I am short on oil. So I'm expecting oil prices to drop over time. So I've got USO bearish put options. I think that oil can potentially drop about 5 to 10% over the next 4 months. Okay, so bearish on oil. It's just a descending pattern. It's likely going to continue that pattern. I would cut my oil short if it really starts to break and hold above this $62 per barrel. So if oil rallies more than 6% from here, I'm just going to cut that trade. But I'm pretty confident oil drops. And again, that's mostly an uncorrelated market with S&P 500. Bitcoin. We're going to talk a lot about Bitcoin. Bitcoin starting to near some short-term demand. So Bitcoin could bounce short-term, 5, 10%. But Bitcoin is looking a little bit more bearish. I may even short Bitcoin on this next bounce if there's going to be a next bounce. Call me a savage. I think that Bitcoin can get to about $75,000 in the next few months. I don't know if it goes much lower than that. That's going to be a key level. If it does, it would be like a crypto liquidation. And then after the liquidation, once all the buyers are completely defeated, all the buyers that bought way too high up here, once they're all selling out, that's where I'm going to be buying. So Bitcoin 30,000, 50,000, 75,000, those are all good buy points for Bitcoin. But I do think Bitcoin is a short the bounce right now. Okay, just manage your risk if you're going to do that. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. One other long position I talked about last week was SQM. Okay, I said, hey, I like this long over 47.50. Boom. Alerted the call options and leap call options on Monday. That's awesome. What I could have done better too is I could have added some weekly call options because the breakout was happening right there, right now. Weekly call options performed very well on SQM, but I like this. I think the stock can get up to $80 to $90 per share within 1 to 2 years. Okay. So this stock still has, in my opinion, 60% upside. Okay. And if it were to retest this like 47 to 50 level, I think that that's a dip buy. None of this is financial advice. I'm just telling you guys what I'm looking at. Okay. I've been trading and investing for 9 years. I'm a chartered market technician. I live and breathe these charts. I do enjoy swing trades, and I do want to get you guys some money, okay? But do what you will. Trade your own account the way that you like. I like SQM longs. Got it? Tesla. Tesla broke its range bearish last week, okay? So Tesla trapped in this range of 420 up to 470. On Thursday, it broke underneath 420. Friday, big gap down, and then a small reversal. Tesla, short-term dip buys are around this 360 level. Okay? That's the former breakout area. If you wanted to, you could short Tesla at a retest of 420. I'm probably not going to do that. I've got some better short setups. And then, of course, there's breakout buys over 470. There's a whole lot of gunk in this 420 to 470 range. A lot of open interest getting accumulated. So we'll see where that wants to unwind into the future. Okay, Amazon. I am bullish on Amazon. All else being equal, if the market's going to recover, I think Amazon's going to do really well. Amazon's right at support right here, right now. It was relatively weak on Friday, though. Take note of that. And that's the tech weakness. Amazon down 1.22% on Friday. But longer term, I am bullish on Amazon, okay? Amazon, I think, can get to $290 to $300 in about 2 years or less. All right. If you're looking for a short setup, Roblox. I shorted Roblox, a little bit of Roblox at 104. I added to my short around 101. Friday was up nicely on the short, and then it did decide to rebound just a little bit. Roblox, I like shorts if it rejects this like 112 area. Otherwise, I might even add more to the shorts if it starts to break down underneath like 98. I do think that Roblox is having a topping pattern, and this is the weekly chart. It's a kind of more of a rounded top. And my target on Roblox short is around the 78 to 80 level, okay? And ideally that happens in under 4 months. It could take longer if they want to hold up the market into the year end. So this goes back to the S&P 500. If they want to prop this up, money managers want to keep buying the dips into December, so be it. Then it may be looking like there may be some weakness late 2026. But we'll see for now. The S&P 500 is going to be the most important dog around here, okay? Some other ones, Unity, growth stock. Roaring Kitty is long on Unity, okay? We'll see if this chart pattern's pretty ugly. Short term, I don't have an opinion on that, but set some price alerts on Unity. If it breaks above like 44, that could go into squeeze mode, okay? 44, set a price alert at 40, okay? Another one, a risky growth stock, NBIS. This looks really weak short term, although if the AI data space really picks up and grows and NBIS capitalizes, I think that this stock can double from here, you know? So NBIS short-term support is 63.85. That's the gap. And then all-time highs and blue sky breakouts if it can hold support and not continue to sell. If it can't hold above 60, NBIS might be a dead stock and it might roll over and go back down to 40, 30, 20. Okay? But I am long with leap call options and leap call spreads on NBIS. Not a crazy size, just a size that I can tolerate it if it decides to just shit the bed. Okay? XLV, we talked about this healthcare breakout over 140, moved higher. I would have loved to add on that retest of 140. Got a good squeeze up to 154. This does have relative strength. It is a bit overcooked up here. It doesn't mean short it. Definitely don't short, but it just means not buy up here. So 147 would be a good dip buy for XLV, the healthcare. It just demonstrates the rotation from growth to value. Okay. PFE, Pfizer. I picked up some longer term call options over 25. Took some profits actually near like the 25.80s. But Pfizer, PFE, I believe that the fair value of this stock is about $35 a share. So PFE pays a nice dividend and it has 40% upside. Not exactly a rounded bottom. It's trying to change its trend. You have the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. Is it going to break the neckline? More of a speculative long, but the dividend reduces the risk if you're willing to like grab 100 shares and wheel it. But the premiums aren't all that high. Okay? So now I'm going to get into some trade ideas and then I'm going to break down your guys' stocks. So if you posted a stock or a crypto, just repost it. All right? Here's our earnings calendar right over here. Again, we just got NVIDIA Wednesday after the close, Target before market opens on Wednesday. We got Webull and Walmart. Nothing too crazy. But Wednesday is going to be a big market event. All right? All right, so the first trade idea is going to be on Circle, CRCL. And this stock looks bearish as hell. Circle started with a small move or an opening of about 64, got all the way up to 300. That's wild. Massive, massive squeeze. Steep pullback, lower high pivot at 262, a strong breakdown underneath 178, got all the way down to 108, bounces from 108 to 160, and then again, another breakdown underneath that 108 level. Now the stock is sitting at 81.89, okay? So this facilitates the altcoin market, which most altcoins look kind of cooked. They look like they're going to drop quite a bit. All right. So just be careful if you're in altcoins or over leveraged in them. Anything can happen. They could recover and squeeze. I'm just saying, as of right now, they look cooked. So I like Circle bearish over the next 4 months. I think that this stock can get down to 60 to 40. Okay. 60 to 40 is the price target on Circle puts. I like put debit spreads, bearish call credit spreads, bearish put butterflies with a wide butterfly. So that's how you can construct that trade. Another trade idea, TLT. So this is our 20-year treasury bond ETF. This looks cooked too. This is a left shoulder ahead. We just formed a right shoulder. We kind of got our neckline. Big bearish day on Friday for bonds. So that means that interest rates are going higher. And so I'd be bearish TLT. If it breaks underneath like 88, like 50, I'd look at put options, long puts. So basically buying a put, and then the more that the stock drops, the more that put option can make. So TLT, I'd look at something like going out to March 2026. I'm just keeping it super simple. Buying the 85 put. It's going to cost about $120 or 1.20 in debit. And you can risk about 50% and see if you can't get a double out of this. I wouldn't go for a huge win on shorting bonds. But, if bonds could just even like revisit this volume node right here at like 87, that can be a good return depending on how fast it drops. When you buy a put option, you want the stock to drop fast. It's calculating the rate of change too, which is going to get factored into the implied volatility. So when you buy a put, you want the stock to drop really, really fast. Otherwise, if you're expecting kind of like a slow walk down, you'd want to do something like a put debit spread or like a bear call credit spread. All right. So that's TLT, bearish TLT. IBIT. This is the Bitcoin ETF. I like puts if it can reject 56.45. MSTR, Michael Saylor's needing to sell Bitcoin. We talked about the short at 310. Look at that. MSTR, waterfall sell-off down 38%. Where the hell are all those people that told me I'm a fool for not buying MicroStrategy at 450? Where are they now? I'm not meaning to throw hands. What I want to do is really teach a lesson of like how you can't get over convicted in any direction in the stock market. And usually what's going on is you will, is this connected? Okay, there we go. Usually when you're over convicted, it means you may or may not be accounting for the risk, or you're just diamond handsing it. But MSTR had a lot of risk in it, and it could have easily have performed very, very well, but sellers took over. Bitcoin could not maintain its all-time highs. Now, long-term, I am bullish on Bitcoin. It's all about your time frame. See, and that's why like Michael Berry had to close down his hedge fund. He's probably right about many, many things, but you might as well be wrong if your timing is wrong. That's the trickiest thing about the market, And nobody's going to get the timing perfect every single time. That's the key. All right. So bearish on MSTR. I'd like to short overbought conditions on MSTR. Next up is Disney. Disney reported earnings last week. Big gap down. Disney looks bearish underneath 105. I'd buy put options on Disney if it breaks underneath 105. Stop goes above 110. Okay. And again, I'd give about 3 months on a lot of the bearish trades if you're going to take them. And I do have some long setups as well. I would target the gap fill on Disney at 92.56. Or if you want a shorter term target, the 100 level could be a bounce point as well. So Disney, this is what the trade looks like. Sell underneath there, stop loss above 110, take profits into 100. Okay? Just another trade idea. Wouldn't load the boat on any of these until many things start to line up. Okay? You can't load the boat on too many things unless you have a lot of confirmation. So these are just diversified trades. for now. All right, next up is Fang. Fang looks bullish as hell. Or just looks like it can pop, you know, pressure cooker. Got higher lows, lower highs. Energy theme. Pays a nice dividend. I like breakout buys over 150. Stop on that, nice and simple, underneath 143. So I can risk about 5%. I can probably get about 5%, 5 to 6%. So 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, but a higher probability that you hit your profit target if it breaks out based off the chart setup. All right. Another one is going to be on a AZN. Nice, good little flat top breakout over 89.43. Healthcare sector still strong. I like that long. I would go with weekly call options, and then I just trail it on like the daily or the 4-hour. Okay. And then lastly, I've got one wheel idea for you. It's OMER. Now this is pharmaceutical, so it does carry a lot more risk. But I like buying 100 shares and then selling the 8 covered call expiring this week. Let's say I get like 30 cents in premium for that. It's like I'm buying it at 7.87 and I'm selling it at 8.30. You know, that's a 5% gain in 5 days. That's pretty good. 5% gain in 5 days. I'll take that. All right, hey, what questions do you guys have? Post your questions. Yeah, welcome to Victory Trades. You just joined. Keep asking questions, especially if you're brand new to the markets. You've got all those WAP courses. So you got the beginner course, the options course, the futures course. Those are going to be helpful to you. And then you'll have the live sessions with Brandon Carter and I at 9:15 a.m. Eastern every day. And you've got Discord support as well. Okay. So if you have any questions, just post them in the VT questions channel. We're talking about correlations, talking about like iron condors, which keep an eye out for iron condors this week. Had some good money on iron condors. Over $500 in iron condors and a couple $100 off of bear call credit spreads. And those are relatively peaceful. They're going to make you fight. They're going to make you sweat a little bit. SPX always does on the 0 day. All right. Hey, we're going to check out some altcoins. Post your stocks, and then we'll wrap this up. All right. I'm going to open up TradingView right now, and we're going to look at some altcoins. First up is going to be what? XRP. So Ripple. XRP USD. Now again, this is mostly just going to be correlated with Bitcoin. So again, short term can bounce, but Bitcoin looks cooked. Again, this looks very similar. So this is XRP on the weekly time frame. So XRP, nice breakout, pulls back in, consolidates for a while, bigger breakout, retests, tries to hold, can't hold, nope. Sells all the way down to the bottom end of consolidation, lower high. This looks bearish as long as that trend line's intact, okay? So I wouldn't get bullish on XRP unless it broke and held above $3.20. Anything underneath this is just speculation that it's going to go higher, okay? Let's check out Solana. Solana. All right, so Solana on the weekly time frame also kind of looks cooked. Short term, it can bounce right here. So I'm going to go to the daily now after looking on the weekly. So on the daily time frame, Solana, yeah, it's just lower highs and lower lows. It could bounce right here, right now. And if you did trade that, you could buy it, put your stop underneath 135. Otherwise, with these altcoins, I mean, keep the position size extremely low. Even if you are risk aggressive, keep the position size low because a little will go a long way. Yeah. Dollar cost average into Bitcoin, Ethereum. You could do Solana, Ripple, Avalanche. Those would be some of my top altcoins. You just make so much more with trading leap options on undervalued stocks. I don't see any reason to get into the crypto market. Unless, of course, the United States dollar collapses, then you'll be pretty happy that you're in some crypto. But yeah, if you are down a lot on some altcoins, consider your exit plan or hold through it. Stick with the original game plan. What was your original investment thesis? You know, when I'm buying shares of stocks in some companies, I have a hard stop level, or I decided, hey, I'm going to ride this out to zero. I've got my buy points. I'll take those buy points. And that's that. All right. Let's check out. I believe I broke down oil already. USO. Yeah, I'm bearish on oil. I've got put options on that. Oil's gapping down 1%. I'm just going to hold them. Yeah, no big deal. Broke down Roblox already. That's an add short if it rejects 111 or breaks down underneath 98. Okay. As for wheels, I like AG, I like TE, I like PFE. How's uranium doing? URA, uranium? Uranium coming into some area of support. It doesn't look like it's super strong support. I'd like URA like 33.73 as a dip buy. Okay? That's like the juicy dip buy. This is kind of like a kind of dip buy because we already kind of got close to it and we got close to the level, bounce, made a slight lower low, bounced. I don't like it. I don't like buying those slight lower lows, even though it could be a wedge. I do like UUUU for the wheel. It's just not super enticing for me to get involved and enter here. You know, I got involved a lot from this like 6 up to 9 level. I did not hold all the way up to 27. Got a little bit carried away at 27. That's fine. Stocks do what stocks do. If you guys are looking for like other investment ideas and stuff like that, I post a lot of different investment research over here, so you can check out some of those in the investing channel. Yeah. That's SQM. Airbnb is another idea as well. I'm going to be going to Italy in December, and we were looking at Airbnbs, you guys, and they're like $500 a night. I'm like, okay. I see you Italians. If any of you guys are watching from Italy and you want to hang out with Greg and Bryce, hit me up. Otherwise, we'll be in an Airbnb. I believe those are most of the things that I have on my list. Let's crush it this week, you guys. Not much else to say. You know, we've got our positions. We're ready. If you guys want a place to park your cash, SGOV, I've got about 35% of my entire portfolio in this right now. Okay. Can I check out Tesla? I did already break down Tesla earlier. I'll break it down again. Tesla, not much action going on right now. It just broke down underneath the 420 level. The next support is 360 to 365. That's good for a short-term dip buy. It could morph into a better trend later. Tesla breaks out really well over 470. Anything else in the middle is a lot of speculation on the buys. Okay? So that's Tesla. Nike is well below fair value right now. Nike, I grabbed some Nike down at this gap at 62.80. And that is up. It got as high as 66. Had a little bit of a pullback on Friday. I have a small position on Nike. I'd like to build that up, but we'll see what that wants to do. Okay. UNH, I am still long my last quarter position size on UNH. I was buying the dip heavily down here at 250, 230, 240. And then even on the turnaround, 250, 260. And then took most of my profits off at 305, took some more profits off at 344. Now I've got my last piece of the position. Basically, it's flat right now, but it's just a bullish put vertical. Selling the 300 put, buying the 290 put. UNH chart does kind of look a little bit bearish short term. Whatever. I'd like a dip buy on UNH at this 271 level. Anything else besides that, I don't really like too much. I would have liked this volume node, this point of control right here at about 306, but we already came close to that level and bounced. So now I don't like that level as much. The first test is the best test. That's where there's the freshest amount of liquidity, because now some of those buy orders are getting used up. Okay. Another speculative stock is HIMS. HIMS is getting deeply oversold. This could get a short-term bounce. We'll see what that wants to do. Target looks a bit weak. Target does have earnings on Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see what Target earnings wants to do. And yeah, those are the main things I wanted to cover. So I've got equal amounts of long positions and short positions. Of course, I've got my long-term stocks. I'm sitting in a lot of cash right now, ready to deploy. We'll see where this market finally wants to decide to go. We've kind of been at the same price since early October, okay? Which I guess is only like a month and a half, but still a month and a half and not too much downwards movement, not too much upwards movement. A lot of action in between then, okay? Stay on your toes. Be ready for anything. Manage your risk. Grade yourself on whether you followed your rules and executed your plan, not whether you were green or red. I'm really loving the index options right now. Butterflies, bear call credit spreads, bull put credit spreads, weighted butterflies, you name it. So SPX tomorrow, 6,800 is going to be a key level. If it rejects 6,800, that'd be bearish short term. If SPX can get above and hold above 6,800, it'd look to test the gap left open from Wednesday, and that'd be around 6,850. I'd be I don't want to put my bear hat on too much, but I do think I should do you guys justice by giving my opinions, right? I do think that this week we hold underneath 6,850, okay? So I might sell a lot of bearish call credit spreads at 6,850 this week. That's not financial advice. I'm just letting you guys know what I'm up to, okay? With that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sign up for the training if you're on YouTube and you want to learn more about what we do each and every day. Again, it's completely free to join. That is Wednesday, November 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Brandon's going to give you some really good futures trading tips. He's going to go over his entire strategy. We're going to invite you guys to join Victory Trades. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I just know that it's my job to help you guys make money and navigate the markets. Okay? I care so much about this. I care so much about this job. We're going to give out some free Apex accounts to those that join, and then we'll have Q&A. So I'll see you guys there. Peace out.